So I want to tell some story and not exactly related to this, but it can be. So this is just an example. Yeah. All right. Many years ago, I started doing data processing, roughly 2016. And one lunchtime, a friend also doing similar thing. We are talking about discuss how difficult it can be doing data processing, right? Just from one data to another. That's it. And after that, I worked many years at many different companies, done many different data pipeline design. And if we zoom in to that small piece, it is actually just very simple, just from one data or from two data to one output. That's it. Nothing more. But I see quite a lot of different challenges. So I would like Charlie to tell the stories of those challenges. And I would like here, if you are doing any data pipeline design, if I can have a poll, anyone doing data pipeline? Yeah. If anyone can share that, what's your main challenge or what do you see the most difficult part of data pipeline design? Repeatability. So you want the same input get the same output. Yeah. Yeah. Certainly. Because there's not only have, if we are doing software development, we write the code, we'll for sure from the same input get the same output, but not data pipeline. Even you have the same code, you will certainly not have the same data. Yeah, but the data will have no value, right? Why we have the same data processing again and again? Why? So the data is always will be different, as you mentioned. So how we can guarantee that the same input will get the same output? So we have more variable than one. Anyone want to share more? I will share a few of my how I see the challenges as well. So the first I see is the data pipeline. The data pipeline's lineage. So where data coming from and where the data goes. And in lots of situations, actually, different companies have the data pipeline, but they're not complete and not accurate, and which has the consequences. So people will create a lot of data, but no one is there to delete anything. Anyone can resonance on that. So that is like if you have a room, you don't clean it over time, all the dust will be accumulated. And that's how our data situation, it's like a room. If you don't clean it, it will have dust. And especially nowadays, if you everything in the cloud, you just put there, right? And put there, perhaps not only put there, you will process it again and again with no value. No one use it. So that's one challenge. I will say it. And another challenge is context switch. So take example of the ChatGPT. Sorry, not the DBT. DBT is stand for Data Builder Tool and is an ELT tool. So writing SQL together with some called Jinja to add metadata and doing data processing. And itself is open sourced, but they have the cloud offering as well. Especially the open source version, I constantly need to switch context. So when you write in the model, you're writing in code editor like VS Code, writing SQL. How you want to run it? You go to command line. And you want to see the data? You usually go to the SQL console like Snowflake, Databricks, whatever. And how you want to see the data look like? You're using some data visualization tool like Power BI. All right. It need to be pretty close then. Yeah. And a solution I want to see is that they don't need to do this context switch and can all do things in one place. So that's the one of the goal. And another is that data pipeline usually is an engineer tool. So after you delivered, you write the data pipeline, you generate the output, how the business will know that. Quite often you take a screenshot, you send email, and the business stakeholder will put into their slides and present to other people. And we all know that after that send over, the truth is already gone. And how can we get the truth? So it's a better way is we'll have a real-time thing. And how we can enable business stakeholder can check data pipeline. They don't want the, okay, can you git check out the code and open VS Code and see how the pipeline works? No. What I want is I go to that website, I can see it directly. I might not care about what detail it is, but I want to see the overall how it looks like and how the data distribution, for example, look like, how the metrics look like. So that's some of the goals. And now generative AI is so widely used. Seems everyone is used. And we should also use that for data pipeline. But which part we can use it effectively? And what I see is that the one that from natural language generated SQL. But most companies have quite a restricted data privacy policy. They don't want to share the data to OpenAI or whatever company. And they might even not want to share all their metadata, how their schema look like. What they want to share is as little as possible and get much value out as possible. So that's like nowadays called RAG. So basically, from the natural language, we first get what relevant information we have in our metadata, and then send to large language model and get the output. I have a small video to share you. Hopefully I can share the audio.
Recording in progress.
You can I hope it's working. No echo.
There is a red. Is it that?
Maybe mute your. Yeah, why not? Mute. Yeah, mute your here. Yes. Why not?
It's work.
Speaking.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And this you can type in your browser, can work on phone as well. It's a landing page, you can access it. It should working for mobile as well, how it look like. I will have a small demo to see what I mean that it exactly how it works. So most of the data pipeline tool are code driven, like DBT. It's actually code driven. So what I want driven is data pipeline driven on graphically. So the reason to being graphical driven, you can see lots of information. For example, how do you know where is the source, where is the destination? We as a human, we don't need to think. If you have a pipeline job, it's immediately in millisecond you can see where it is. For example, if you want to identify what is a data source, in the model you can say that is a data source and that is a destination. But our brain will not be that easily to get that information. But if you put visually, for example, this one, on the left side, you have some indication. We even don't need to think. Our subconscious already know exactly what it is. And in the data pipeline, something that we see that some data, they never been used. But if you have the code, how you know that is never been used? So you might search the code. Okay, that is used anywhere. But if you visualize it, you can just indicate as something differently. For example, you see that is without input, without output, with a red button, then we already know. In the DBT itself is using code driven. So, and when it's run it will get the pipeline, but not before. So you need to run it to get the data pipeline. So when using the code itself, it does not know. But what I wanted to do is that you write in the code, you directly get it, what it is. So that is how do it. And another challenge one is that when the data pipeline is super complex, you need to manually drag it around to see it's a meaningful pipeline. So I want to have some way that automatically can doing automatic layout. So after the layout, we can simply drag it to make it more easy to read. And when we have multiple data pipelines, and in the source code, how you know that, okay, that is the source, and how you go to the source, you open that file, and that take lots of steps. Yeah, so your mind context already switch many times. But if you have that visually able to navigate between those, you can just click and open that directly. So your mind flow will not be blocked or disrupted by those things. And same with that, if we want to run it, instead of go to the command and run it, we can just click and run it here. And for the data visualizations, so we have the data here, and we want to visualize it. We can visualize it like just like that. But this seems not super meaningful. By the way, this data is a Formula One race data. So lap time for each lap, they have the time. And we can adjust it based on how. So this is how to drive that, how the data visualization we want based on that configuration. And we can configure it. So that is the number of driver ID. It's a bit harder to read. And that is the lap. And the color is the position. So if the darker the color is and the position is higher. So the reason that is by default, we see the number. So then we see that it's a normal number. So it should be ordered by number. But in this case, that number is a categorical value. So they have different the meaning. But we can just change it and run it. And in that way. So this, if we can visualize it, lots of information is quite easy to show. Like this one. So it's dark most of time. So he's at the number 1 position. But after a few laps, he's dropped off to different places. And this one goes to higher for the first position and then drop again. And after that generated, that can be sent directly or shared. So we have the directive file open. And this one that if we have those kind of visualization, not necessarily this tool. So business can just open it and directly see it and comment it. Does not need much to do, like go to the code. Because this web page is a familiar interface. Everyone can use. And I also built something interesting that lots of tool that when we have the problem, how we let the author know if you have the problem here. So I built this one. You can directly contact the author. So when you send it, I will directly notice this message, can fix it immediately and get updated. So this is generally the idea what I want. So the first one is that the data pipeline driven. So the pipeline driven to develop it instead of code driven. So I have one important information I'm not sure. How we generated the model. So based on that, you can type that, for example, daily active user. And that one will first go to the database, check the schema, find the relative information. And based on that information, we'll send it to ChatGPT and then get the SQL back and directly put it in here. So this, if you use the ChatGPT UI directly, there are 2 main drawbacks. So one is that your database schema ChatGPT does not know. So that will not be able to generate the accurate SQL. But they use this technology because we first will query the database, what tables, what views, what columns are relevant to this case. So that's one. Another one is that even that can generate accurate SQL. So you need to go there, copy that SQL, and create the code in your repo, and paste it, save it. There are lots of steps. Not only that step is spend time, but break the thought process. All right. So that's a function. I want the pipeline automatically generated. I want to avoid context switch. I want to allow business people and engineers working on the same environment. And I want those data visualization can be the same time. And integrate the generative AI all in one place. Does not need to go to different places to see. And when meet some problem, can directly contact and fix the problem. That's functionality. Or that's the dream I want how data pipeline is built.